We might have already hit the AI productivity ceiling. At least, that's what this guy thinks. This is the founder and CPO of a tech company called Visible Thread. In his article about the AI productivity paradox, he referenced a study that found something really interesting. So in this Pharos AI study, engineers completed 21% more tasks, and they merged 98% more pull requests. But that was only half the story. What they found was that there was 91% more process friction, meaning the time that it takes to actually review and deploy the code took so much longer, and the quality decline was significant. There was a 9% drop in the quality of code despite there being more code that was being pushed out. And another writer who analyzed the same study summed it up perfectly. AI coding assistants increase developer output, but they don't necessarily increase company productivity. There's a difference. So that weird plateau in this graph you see here, where output goes up overall, but productivity doesn't really improve. And this is what some people are calling the AI productivity ceiling. So today, we're going to unpack if we've actually reached that ceiling and what it might mean for the future of work. So let's get into it. If you compare the jump from GPT-3 to GPT-4, it was massive. GPT-4 showed huge improvements in reasoning, coding, and bench performance. But the jumps between newer models, things like GPT-4 variants, Gemini models, and Claude updates, often felt a lot smaller.
I expect that the delta between 5 and 4 will be the same as between 4 and 3.
Each new generation of OpenAI's flagship GPT models, the ones that power ChatGPT, they have been exponentially more advanced than the last in terms of their ability to understand, generate, and reason. But according to reports, that's not happening anymore.
And the data kind of backs this up. For example, one of the most common benchmarks for measuring language model performance is called MMLU, which tests dozens of models across things like math, science, and law. So early models, GPT-3, scored around 44% accuracy, while newer models like GPT-4 and Claude models now score around 88%, which is already near human expert performance. Once you get that close to the top of a benchmark, though, it becomes much harder to show dramatic improvements. So instead of jumps between generations, we're starting to just see smaller and smaller gains between models.
Really tiny gains.
And researchers are even creating new tests like humanity's last exam, because many existing benchmarks are getting saturated by modern AI systems. So while models are still improving, the progress between releases may not feel as dramatic as it did in the early days of the AI boom. I want to explore the impact of AI usage for developers versus the actual company. Because at the end of the day, even if people are able to work faster, if it doesn't actually make the business produce more, there's no point, people. For example, despite developer productivity going up, maybe we have a bottleneck from the client side where they can't get feedback fast enough through their surveys or data collection. This completely nullifies the speed at which the code is being produced. And it also just increases the company's investment in AI for no actually return on investment. Think about that. And this is exactly what the Pharos AI study showed. So looking at this graph, they found that developer productivity and PR merge rate did go up per developer. But on the other side of that, the median review time for everything also went up by 91% because developers were just outputting code like crazy. Who has time to review all that? Not only that, but if you look at this graph that they output, the code got a lot buggier and PR size increased a lot. And if you're a developer, you know what that means. Basically, it was so much harder to review the code because people were still doing manual reviews. That's a big bottleneck stopping progress. And this starts to highlight a bigger issue when companies adopt AI tools too quickly. When one part of the system suddenly speeds up, in this case, engineers producing code, the bottleneck just moves somewhere else in the workflow. It might move to code reviews, testing, deployment pipelines, or even client feedback cycles. So even though developers feel like they're working faster than ever, the company as a whole might not be shipping products faster. And in some cases, it can create this thing called coordination overhead. More code means more changes and edge cases, and more things that the team has to understand before approving and deploying it. It can create a lot of bugs in the system unnecessarily. And that's really the core of the paradox. AI increases developer output, but unless the rest of the system evolves with it, the overall productivity of the company doesn't actually increase like people expect it to, which raises an interesting question. If engineering speed keeps increasing, but the rest of the organization doesn't change, are we just shifting the bottleneck instead of actually solving the problem? Food for thought. But before we continue this video, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Tango. And no, not that kind of Tango, this kind. Tango is a browser extension that helps users automatically document and create how-to guides with generated screenshots, text, and titles. Imagine how much time it would take if you had to do all of that manually. Users can capture and edit a Tango in minutes and send it to their coworkers via URL, HTML, or a PDF. You could even edit the final version with auto blur, annotations, and adding additional links or text. Users can also pin Tango in-app to guide coworkers through a process in real time. So let's take a look at a quick demo. So we're gonna start the capture. We're gonna create a lease for Minnesota. We're gonna make the document, and you can see in the Tango, it's actually going through all of the steps that I'm going through. Okay, so now we've finished creating the lease, so we're gonna go ahead and complete this Tango. And now the cool thing is we can share and export this. And we can export it as HTML, Markdown, or PDF. So we're gonna do it as a PDF. And there we go. It literally goes through a step-by-step guide on how to create this Minnesota lease in Rocket Lawyer. It created this guide without me having to do anything manually. And if you get the premium version, you can actually manually edit anything that you want in this PDF as well. So the great thing about Tango is that it's fast. So you can share work instructions in minutes, not hours. It's intuitive to use and intuitive for anyone to follow. And your team gets to find the right information exactly when they need it. And you get to stop answering the same questions over and over again. So what are you waiting for? I've included a link in the description below. Check out Tango today. Now let's get back to the video. There was a recent Harvard article that came out and talked about AI not reducing work, but actually just adding more intensity. Now, that matters because if you're increasing intensity over a long period of time, eventually a girl's gonna burn out. So they found that once the excitement of experimenting with AI tools fade, workers can find that their workload has quietly grown and feel stretched from juggling everything that's suddenly on their plate. That workload creep can in turn lead to cognitive fatigue, burnout, and weakened decision-making. The productivity surge enjoyed at the beginning can give way to lower quality work, turnover, and other problems. So it's not just the stats and the data around AI productivity, but workers' ability to keep up in the long term. It just doesn't seem to be sustainable because AI was supposed to make our lives easier, not add more intensity and more problems to it. And I mean, this is a common pattern that we're seeing. Calculators, they didn't make life easier. The expectation just became higher. We just worked more because crunching numbers became faster. When we reduce friction with technology, we just expect even more output than we were getting before. And that shift doesn't just affect individual workers, it affects the entire system. The product team starts planning more features. Managers will set more aggressive deadlines, and companies will promise faster delivery to clients, despite all of the issues that come with using AI tools and bottlenecks that we talked about. And this all brings us back to the idea, again, of the AI productivity ceiling. Because if the productivity gains from AI just results in more tasks, expectations, and complexity, then the real bottleneck becomes human attention and decision-making. And the real question is, can humans actually keep up with the pace that they're setting for themselves right now? Time will tell. So in conclusion, have we actually hit an AI productivity ceiling? Well, maybe, but not in the way that people think. It's not that AI stopped improving. Models are still getting better, and new tools are still being released, and engineers are still finding ways to work faster. But what this research is there to show is that productivity doesn't just increase with developer output. It's about increasing the speed of the system around it and the accuracy. When engineers suddenly produce twice as much code, the bottleneck doesn't disappear, it moves elsewhere. So maybe the real question is, are our organizations, workflows, and expectations evolving fast enough to actually take advantage of AI? Because if we're not, then the ceiling isn't the technology. The ceiling is how we actually use the technology. So that's it for today's video. If you liked it, leave a comment below, and we'll see you in the next one.